Welcome to We're Talking Bears, where Uncle and Nephew give you a breakdown of the latest Bears experience.
I'm Uncle.
And I'm Nephew.
I'm Son.
And we're talking Bears. What's up?
Man, week 3 W. How does it feel?
2-1.
2-1. 2-1.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I want to say this before we get into it. I was a little disappointed when I looked up the standings. I was going around telling everybody we're leading our division. Now, technically, we lost to the Packers, but we're all 2-1 at the top of our division. I was a little disgusted to look and see they have us third out of that tiebreaker. I was
the tiebreaker is third because the Vikings have lost no divisional games.
No, I get it. I understand.
Right.
I was just a little disappointed to see that.
But it's a tiebreaker. All we have to do is, all they have to do is lose, even tie a game, and we move ahead of them.
Right. Facts.
Look, man, I'm just looking at the tied first. I don't care about nothing else.
Facts.
That's
what I was getting at.
Lions, as all things should be. So,
Right. The Lions can't get out of their own way because they actually are playing some football this year, but they're the Lions, and that's what Lions do. They stand in their way. I'm excited. I'm happy. The one thing I think we drink a little bit of too much juice because I've heard people fussing about Fields like crazy. Just mad, he's washed up, he's done,
can't get it done.
But look at this. One, we've already won half the games they thought we were going to win this year. 3 games in, we got 14 games to go. Right? 2, honestly, if we had thrown for 280 yards and run for 100, everybody would be happy because that's the way you're supposed to do it. Right? But because we did it the other way, now we're busters, right? You wouldn't look at the running back if and it's just it's unreasonable. The last time the Bears ran for this many yards was 1984, and a man named Walter Payton was part of it. This is a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a big deal when you can run like this. Lance Briggs was talking about it after the game, and he's like, the defense is hurt. And the gentleman he was speaking to kind of thought he was talking about mentally hurt. It was like, no, physically, somebody runs for 280 yards, you are physically in pain after the game. You have been hit a lot.
By some big, strong dudes
who've been knocking you on your butt. Otherwise, you wouldn't have no 280 yards.
Exactly. You're not getting off them blocks.
No, yeah, and you saw how many times our offensive line pancaked some people. People were getting pancaked all over the place, and that's what happens when you pick up 280 on the ground. And Fields was part of that. He had 50. And obviously, Herbert, monster game.
Yeah.
157 and 2 touchdowns, monster game. But we got 280 over his 157. We had 130 more yards.
Right.
So that's crazy. I mean, 130 yards rushing is a decent amount of rushing for a whole game.
Right.
So you take Herbert out of the picture, and we ran the ball well. You drop him in the picture, and it's insane. It doesn't make sense. Man, Lovey's might lose his cool, and that guy is always cool. So, so I get that. We can look at the Fields question, but you know what? It was a heck of a win. It was a dogfight. And our dogs won.
Our dog won.
Our dogs won.
There you go.
That begs the question: do you want it to be a dogfight with the Houston Texans, though? Is that the game you want to be fighting in? I mean, I get any given Sunday, anybody could win, but man, we beat the team we should beat, but it wasn't pretty,
But the key is the Texans have been in every game. They've been in every game they've been in. They haven't rolled over.
True. Credit.
So when you look at that, other teams are probably sitting back and go, why are they in the game? you know.
Right.
And you know, another fact, we haven't given up a second half touchdown this year. We didn't give up a second half touchdown to the Packers. We didn't give up a second half touchdown to the 49ers. And we did it again. We didn't give up a second half touchdown to the Texans.
Right.
That's consistent winning defense. That's winning defense. Yeah. You know, the only bad quarter we had this year defensively was that second quarter Packers game.
Yeah.
It was a terrible quarter. It was bad offensively and bad defensively. Just those two phases of the game fell apart in that quarter. But literally, that's every other quarter we've played. We played competitively and we played tough and we fought and the dogs were out. Yeah. That quarter was terrible. It was uncharacteristically bad. You know, yeah. So I'm not worried. I'm glad we fought with the Texans.
Yeah.
You know, let's now we got to go fight with the Giants, who aren't supposed to be 2-1, right? Neither are we. So one of the two of us is going to prove who's actually a winning team and who, you know, just who knows how, right? And I'm, you know, Saquon Barkley's a beast, but the last time we faced the Giants, I was at Soldier Field with your sister, Brad, and man, it was a phenomenal game. That was the game where we scored 14 points in the first, 4 or 5 minutes, and it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal game. So I don't know that it's going to be that great, but hopefully we still have their number.
Yeah. I got a question for both of you.
Yeah.
All right. We're toting the rock. We can run the rock. It's amazing to see. A lot of the field slander, man. I'm hearing guys going crazy. Throw the ball. You got to throw the ball. They're loading the box. They're daring to throw the ball. But we're running it. It's working. You get what I'm saying? I'm not really sure. Of course, we want to see Fields be able to do his thing. There's a lot of expectations for him coming in. However, if we can run the ball, do we need to? I mean, I remember last week we said we wanted to see Fields throw the ball a little more. But I mean, if it's working on the ground, even when they load the box and they're trying to dare him to throw the ball and pass, what do you all think? Should we be looking to see more passes from him, or do we just keep running the doggone ball until they find out a way to stop us? I mean, yes, we want to see Fields pass. Yes, we want to see him show those abilities that he has. Yes, we want to take advantage of the defense, right? But I mean, what do you guys think?
Man, I got an answer that I think. First of all, you do what it takes to win. I don't believe in this losing on purpose, right? You do what it takes to win, and you do what your best advantage is. You know, the 90s Bulls, they dunked on you constantly and played great defense. You know, then you flip to the current Golden State Warriors. They shoot threes like crazy. They don't play much defense. They don't do much anything else. You know, so you look at it, if you load the box and I can still dominate you in the run game, there's not too many teams that are going to be able to stop me. I mean, that's just, you put all your men in the box and we ran them over. Right. I mean, that was, you know, again, hearkening back to the old Payton days, you knew on 3rd and 9, Walter Payton was getting the ball.
Right.
And the guys were standing, they might as well have told you we're going left, because it didn't matter. We're going to be going left off tackle here.
Well, part of the reason we can do that.
You can stack your whole team there. We promise you we're going that direction. But if you don't want to get hurt, I'd back up. Right. You know, and that's basically the way we ran the ball back then. You know, you just, we're coming. You know, stop us.
Yeah. It's a little bit different from back then, because back then it was like the reason we could do that is because Walter was not going down no matter what you did. Like Montgomery has a little bit of that. Like he can make anybody miss in the open field, guaranteed. Like the first dude coming at him is likely not making the tackle. And that's a little bit of Walter in him. But I think when I was watching the film for the last couple games, Green Bay and this more so than the rain game, what I noticed was even when they would stack 7, 8, 9 guys in the box, 1 or 2 of those guys is almost always dedicated to a bootleg, a rollout, or whatever, a naked from Fields. That's why we see so many people getting to Fields in the backfield on these naked boots, because there's somebody who the running back's not their responsibility. One or two guys that are always spying no matter what. So it automatically limits your run defense. Even if you've got 9 in the box, you've only got 7 looking at Demo. And we've got a tight end, 5 linemen, and a fullback. So everybody's blocked. And 2 dudes aren't following him. So Demo's already in the secondary. You know what I mean? So or in this case, KhalilHerbert. So I think as we keep running on people, they're going to have to respect that. They're going to have to be like, all right, look, if we don't stop these running back, this O-line is not a pushover no more. Like everybody thought our O-line was going to be trash coming in. We got all these young cats, these young bodies that are out here looking to hit people, you know, and put stick on people. So it's working. So they're going to have to stop keying on Fields so hard. And another thing that that's kind of contributing to that is our offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, has been really, really creative with making sure that Fields is a threat on every run play, making sure that the jet sweep is a threat, as we saw EQ bust off for 50 yards or whatever it was on that jet sweep run. And he's done it in really creative ways that don't give away what our O-line or what our run is doing based on the O-line's blocking set. So he's doing a really great job of that, and we should highlight that a little bit just to show some, some love and some flowers.
And let me give Pace some credit, because he's going to take a little heat for not getting pass blocking line put together for Fields. Let's be honest, Fields isn't dropping back a lot. He's maybe dropping back 25 times a game to pass. Some of those turn into runs, and that's great for us, but it was an attempted pass before he had to escape, right? Like the 28-yard run, he was under duress. He got out, and they suffered the consequences, as many teams have. But one of the best signings, and I think I talked to you guys about this previously, that I believe was when you look at a guy like Derrick Henry, and I give all the credit in the world to Derrick Henry, he's a great back, but he didn't do it by himself. And you take his lead blocker, and that guy makes a difference. The guy that normally would be leaking through to hit Montgomery in the backfield, and he'd have to fight his way to 5 yards out, is getting wiped out by Kari Blasingame. That when that guy's on the field, man, our runs are going crazy, because he is wiping out that the equivalent of their Roquan coming through on penetration is getting erased by Kari Blasingame. He is not getting beat on those plays.
That's true.
And once he takes that linebacker out, it's Herbert or Montgomery against somebody in the secondary, dude, we win. We win.
Right.
Yeah. And Herbert's been running people over.
Man, Herbert's been going crazy.
He had juice like that, man.
Right.
5'11", 5'9". He's 5'9", 212.
Yeah.
He's little muscle.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? I know Montgomery is day-to-day right now. But man, the way Herbert's been running the rock for us, do you think of course he's behind Montgomery, but do you think they should split the load? Or how do you all see that? Because Herbert's showing his abilities to get it done, and sometimes he looks a little more effective even.
I would still Demo as the lead, at least at this time. It's not to the point where Demo's where you could just look and say Herbert's better. Because in a really tough game against a really tough team who's getting their hands on you and their linebackers are getting to you, I'm going with Demo, because he can carry a defensive tackle, right? Herbert is great, but I don't think Herbert's carrying defensive tackles down the field.
Right.
Demo is. So, you got to do that. Now, at the same time, if your team is mediocre at stopping the run, and we know we're getting past your front seven, I'm going to put Herbert in there, because that boy got a burner. He's gone, right? Yeah. He's gone, because you're just like, boom. It's like you're not going to get – if you're not going to get a hand on him, Herbert's going to win the foot race.
Right.
So, but if you got a tough day, so I would say it would be day to day, and I hope that we're wise enough in the long run, because to keep Demo next year, to go ahead and sign him, and because this 1-2 punch, I don't care. If Fields gets to the point where he's throwing for 200 yards a game, we are devastatingly scary team, right? But because right now we're tough to beat when he's throwing for 100. It's like we beat San Francisco, he threw for $127. We beat the Texans, he threw for 101. I mean, we're dangerous when he gets 100 yards of passing, and 50 on the ground. If he gets to the point where I would like to see him to the point at the end of the year where he can throw, Kyle Orton numbers, 175, 200 yards, no interceptions.
Right.
If he does that, you know what? We are a really hard team to beat, because you got to work to stop the run, and while you're working to stop the run, the quarterback's disappearing, and you get Komet involved. I think we've been thoroughly underestimated, and I think they think that I think that that Fields was going to be super important, and it's not that the quarterback's not important, but it's when your defense is that good, and your running backs are that good, and your offensive line can run block that well, and you've got who should be a Hall of Fame level fullback back there knocking people out.
That's strong.
Man, it is. But I mean, look at the guy. Look at our run game with Blasingame. It was not this great last year. And then look at what he did with Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's with us for 4 years and we produce like this the whole 4 years, you got to look and say he had a lot to do with Henry and Blasingame. And I'm sorry, Henry and our running backs.
Right.
And I really honestly believe he did. That you can't underestimate his effectiveness. Because he's getting your guy out.
Right.
Yeah. I would say definitely we should be leaning into this committee. Monty, as great as he is, and as freak of an injury this is now 2 years in a row that within the first 4 games he's gone down with an injury. And you need bodies in today's NFL. You can't just run in there with one running back. We saw with the Titans, Derrick Henry got hurt, and they floundered after that last year. So you have to have somebody who can back up. I like the fact that they were getting Treston Ebner in there to spell Khalil, giving him some touches and seeing how he was doing. He wasn't looking that bad himself. So and he's more of a receiver out the backfield than a runner. So I definitely think we should continue splitting, but definitely don't think Juice has taken over Monty's starting job or is even really threatening it right now. Because when that Green Bay game was in the thick of it, it was Monty that was cracking big runs off one after another with his agility, his explosiveness, his ability to make people miss. And Herbert, like you said, Pops, like he's great. He's absolutely a burner out the backfield. That's what this kind of offense tries to do, is get you running fast as you can laterally and then let him cut when he sees the crease in the defense and then just pop through the hole as fast as he can. He's great at that. But when you see him on these power runs, on these shorter run plays, he's not as effective, where Monty would get 8, 9, 10 yards, just trucking the pile, he pulls up at like 6. So definitely still need that balance of running backs, and definitely still look at Monty as the leader, especially in the pass game. His pass blocking is way better. His receiving out of the backfield is way better. So he just does a lot more for you at this current juncture, but
yeah. And you know what, honestly, we look good. I mean, the run game, our run game, I'd be surprised if anybody else in the NFL in the next 14 games hits 280.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. That's
Lamar
that's
Jackson
rare
been
air.
crazy.
Lamar Jackson, man.
That's
Sheesh.
rare
Jackson
Not
air.
even
go
thinking.
crazy.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
they got a whole, they got who's that?
Looking good,
Dobbins is their main back. I don't know if is he hurt right
We'll
now?
see, because 280 that's tough, man.
That's
We'll
rare
see.
air.
We'll
You know,
see.
It's up there. It's up there.
you know, that's like Steph Curry 3-pointers air. You know, it's
Right.
rare air. It's
Right.
that's not common.
Right.
That you know.
I had another question for you guys on that note, since we all agree. Well, I agree with you, Uncle. You do what you do best. You do what you need to do to win, right? So, understanding that, do you think some of our players maybe are missing opportunities? Or I guess what I'm trying to ask is, we are receiving room. If we're running the ball this much and you get what I'm saying, we're having success with the run. Do we really get a good gauge of how good our receivers are when we don't get a chance to throw to them much? Or are they not that good? You know, kind of how people are bashing Fields. It's like, oh, Mooney, they're not finding Mooney. We're not getting him involved. Komet got 2 catches this last game. We were able to see him get going. But I mean, are we missing out on talent we may have because we have this deficit? We're so much better with the run than we are with the O-line blocking for the pass. Or could we potentially be missing out on talent and guys that could do things for us because of that?
You know what? I think that's a great question, and you know what? I mean, you can't ignore that concept.
Yeah.
But one, everybody's involved as a team, right? So Mooney may not be catching much, but man, he's downfield blocking, because you don't get 40 and 50 and 30-yard runs if your receivers aren't blocking. If they're not engaged, and the cornerbacks are just going to come up and hit. So our receivers and tight ends, they are doing they're doing some work. They're working hard. The second side of it is the line still has a lot of growing to do, and it's a young line. It's very young. We got 3 guys, 2 of them are 2 years, and one of them's 1 year. None of them, I think, are even, maybe Borum is getting close to 16 starts, but none of them even have a full season of starts. 3 of so the line should improve, which, you know, Fields is getting sacked a ton. As agile as he is and as much as he escapes, he's getting sacked a ton, and he doesn't drop back much. So we're not protecting him much. He looks nervous out there when he's in the pocket, and you know, he's taking a lot of big hits. And you know, so I would say this. I think it's important for us to get more passes in, more completions in. That's the key. Maybe not that many more pass attempts, but more dropbacks. Maybe same amount of dropbacks, more completions. Right. I want to see, you know, a bigger focus on Komet. I would like to see this week against the Giants. We get Komet 6 catches and get Mooney 4 catches. I don't care if they're 5 yards apiece. Just get them in there. Just get them in there. I'm with you. I'm not, still take your shots, but get those guys in there. I think when Velus Jones shows up, that changes things. I mean, his speed is phenomenal. He's Devin Hester fast, almost. And being that fast, but a bigger physical body with good hands, he's gonna make some difference in the pass game, because you just can't let a guy that fast get behind anybody. So you have to, like, you know, you have to cover that guy, and you probably need a safety over him. So I think that changes a lot in the pass game. I think with Velus out there, everybody else is a little more open. You know, so I think that's going to make a difference. You know, N'Keal Harry, you know, not a great wide receiver, but another big body. So, you know, if vision is part of the problem, if he's having a hard time seeing over that line as it's squishing in on him, right? Instead of where at Ohio State, where, you know, it's 5 guys and there's tons of room, and your passing lanes are you know, bigger than our screens. You know, you know, his passing lane is kind of like this. Oh,
Right.
So, so now, seeing a bigger guy coming across the field is easier, right? You see the big blue helmet with the C. That's my boy. Bam, let me get it to him. Versus I can't see Mooney. Where is he?
Right.
Oh, there he is. It's too late.
Right.
So I think those things count. What do you think, Brad?
I agree with a lot of what you said, man. I think like I said earlier, the run game, as teams start to respect the run game and start to really have to try to key on Demo and key on Khalil, that's going to really make a big difference, because when we see those teams start committing to that and stop, treating Justin Fields as the only threat in our offense, then you're going to see more vanilla coverages. You're going to see things that, it's easier for him to read. You're going to see his anticipation get better because he'll understand better what the defense is doing. Right now, what they're doing, what I'm seeing in the film, is a lot of exotic coverages, a lot of safeties rolling either up or down. You'll start a safety at the line of scrimmage and then he'll bail to a deep third. You'll have corners run up to a deep half, and that's really slowing down his processing. And one of two things is going to happen. Either A, he's going to get used to seeing that and it's not going to surprise him anymore, and he's going to be able to pick that stuff apart because he'll have seen it before. Or you're going to see our receivers and tight ends fail to get open anyway, and he's still going to struggle even when he does understand it and he throws it. And then we'll kind of know whether, we're giving them extra throws or not, whether those are the guys. I want to see Mooney succeed. Y'all know I'm on the Darnell Mooney hype train, man. That kid is a dog, and I love him to death. But I don't know if it's necessarily him failing to get open. I know for sure our pass protection can improve drastically. That's something I've seen a lot of. Is Fields is, even when he takes a long time to throw, most of the time it's because he's pulling the ball down and evading pressure running around the pocket. And then finally gets the ball out after, whatever would be too long. So there's a lot of pieces that are going into it. But one thing I just want everybody to kind of realize, because everybody's been, harping on Fields. I know it's a little off topic, but the kid is in his 13th start.
Right.
13th start out of,
who knows
how long his career is going to be. This is the very, very beginning. This is still season one officially. You know what I mean? This is a new offense. It has to be treated like he's still a rookie, basically. Yeah. So this is going to be a long season, 17 games. This is not over at 8 games, 9 games, so we really shouldn't be panicking. Everybody's freaking out saying, oh, Fields looking like it wasn't a good game. Cool. But, there's a lot of quarterbacks have struggled in week 13 of their rookie season or game 13 of their career. Like, I put together a little list, and something I want to do with y'all. So I'm gonna read off some stats from quarterbacks in their 13th start in the NFL, right? And I want you guys to guess who that quarterback is, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. All right, y'all ready for this one?
Are you gonna give us the names of the quarterbacks?
I'll give it to you after you guess.
But we're guessing from all quarterbacks ever.
I mean, we'll say there's a lot of very successful quarterbacks on this list.
Okay, come on,
right?
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna give you some stats, right? So the first one I'm gonna give you is all right. So we've got a quarterback that went 7 for 13, a 53% completion ratio for 148 yards. He had 3 rushes for 12 yards, threw a TD and a pick in a win. Who do you think that quarterback was?
Brady.
No, that was Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. Okay.
So now I'm going to give you a quarterback who went 17 for 29. It was 62% completion, so pretty good, for 128 yards, but had 1 TD and 2 picks. Or sorry, no, 2 TDs, 2 picks. And ran for 2 yards on 1 attempt. Who do you think that was?
Payton, man.
No, that one was Tom Brady.
That was Tom
Brady. So here's another one who went 20 for 30. So through 30 passes, that's a lot of passes, right? For a rookie.
The last one was 29.
194 194 yards, had 6 rushing attempts, but for only 2 yards, through two TDs and 3 picks in a loss.
Aaron Rodgers.
That was Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is, no matter how a game looks, you know what I mean, at that early in a quarterback's career, you have no idea how that quarterback's gonna turn out. You know, like if you want to judge everybody this early in their career, if you want to judge everybody on game 13, then you know, you'll have passed on a lot of Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even read you off like Josh Allen and Peyton Manning and stuff. I looked up all these dudes.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them had a lot of success that week.
Yeah.
Most of them lost.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin Fields came out of there with a W. He threw 2 picks. That wasn't the prettiest game, but one thing that people didn't realize, what Lucas Patrick said after the game, is that Fields made a lot of checks and calls at the lines, audibles, and play calls that switched them to either run at the right spot in a defense or to switch to a run entirely to give the Bears their best chance of winning. So even if he's not passing extremely well, he still understands what he's seeing pre-snap. He does tons of film study. The kid knows what he's looking at.
He's a leader.
Exactly. And he guided us to a win, regardless of whether you thought he did or not.
Right.
The other thing that I would add to that is that it just what he's doing helps win. I mean, you get a busted pass play, you pick up 28, right?
Right.
That's the or like you said, in the run play, he's so dangerous as he leaks out the other direction that they have to dedicate a human to him. Right. So, you know, instead of, you know, you get a non-mobile quarterback, he goes to hand the ball off, everybody's after the running back. But you cannot do that with Fields, because if he kept that ball, it's a touchdown. He's gone.
Right.
You know, you guys all went that way. He's out.
Yeah. Right. You're not catching him.
So, you're not catching him. You're not catching him. So,
hey,
you know what? It's critical.
Yeah. Hey, I need a second, man. We're doing all this talking about the Bears offense and Justin Fields and what we're expecting. I need a moment. I want to go in the huddle. You know, we're talking Bears. We go into the huddle where we highlight a player from the previous week who really stood out and who's doing big things for our team. My boy, Roquan Smith. We need to pay this guy, man. 16 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. The game-winning pick. The game-winning pick to put us in position to win, man. This guy is huge, man. He does so many things for our team. We need to pay this guy, man. I want to keep him around in the huddle. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about Roquan Smith? Let's give him some love.
I love the guy. I had the pleasure to meet him when he was a rookie. And you know, we just had he was humble. You know, you think about a linebacker. Football linebacker rookie, he was humble. I literally said to him when we were talking, I said, you know, the Bears, they pretty much only draft Hall of Fame middle linebackers. And he just looks at me humbly with his eyes and he's like, sir, that's very high praise.
Right.
And I was like, I like this guy, man. I like this guy. And, you know, he's not like, yeah, that's me. He's like, no, that's really high praise. And he's worked like crazy. That's why he's a dog.
Yeah.
You know, and even last week, he had a bad game against the Packers, but look what he did after that. He came back and made a statement. He made a statement, you know, and you know, just, you know, I really like the guy. I like, you know, his contract negotiation could use some work. But if that's the worst part about your linebacker, your star linebacker, I mean, he's out there hurting the other team. He's physically tough. He's mentally tough. He's fast. He's a ball hawk. He separates people from the ball. He's everything you could want in a linebacker. And let's tell the truth. He's a Pro Bowler. They just snubbed him a few times. They're not going to be able to snub him on this defense with this team.
Right.
He's been snubbed because he was his rookie year, he was huge in that defense. He's been snubbed. You know, you look at these guys, and I know there's guys with more flash in the pan, but if he got 50 if you got 50 tackles and 9 sacks, then you know what and you're a linebacker, you're a defensive end. I don't care where you're starting from, but that's the way your team's using you. Go get the quarterback every down.
Right.
You know, how do you get only 50, 60, whatever tackles or whatever? You know, so he's getting snubbed because of the flash plays. I think he's going to make the Pro Bowl this year because I wouldn't be surprised if he has 200 tackles this year.
Right.
Dude is going to be, at the end of this season, mark my words, he'll be a 3-time All-Pro. So the fact that he hasn't made 1 Pro Bowl is wild, right? How you an All-Pro, you ain't made a 2-time All-Pro already, you ain't made 1 Pro Bowl. That don't make no sense, right?
No,
I think partly is just because the national media be dumping on the Bears, man. The disrespect is real. I hate seeing that, man. I hate seeing them diss our guys, bro. It really irks me.
You're right. You're right.
But Roquan, man, like you said, man, he is a dog. He's been a dog since day one. I think his career trajectory, in terms of like tackles, sacks, interceptions, all that. I think him and Ray Lewis are in like each other's company in terms of the stats. He's not as much of like a hitter as Ray Lewis, but he is an enforcer, as we saw with Trey Lance. You know, he taught him like keep running. You know what I mean? Keep running
Trey Lance should have listened to the lesson because he didn't. He didn't learn the lesson.
And look what happened. So, you know, he's definitely our enforcer. He's definitely our leader on defense. And yeah, like, man, whatever you got to pay that man. If you got, give him $100 million, man. Just call it a day.
Yeah.
Give him 100. Give him $20 million a year. That's not too much.
Yeah.
No, because you're looking at a defense with Roquan, and realize Johnson was out. You're looking at a defense with Roquan that it is not an unreasonable sentence to expect by the end of the season, you know, they give up less than 2 touchdowns a game. That's not an unreasonable sentence. Yeah. You know, because they're gelling. We've got rookies starting. Yeah. So where are we 15 weeks in? You know, it is not unreasonable to look. And again, we haven't given up a touchdown in the second half of any game. Right. So, you know, if we're still saying that in 10 weeks from now, it's a crazy defensive season. Yeah. Speaking of that, guess who else is still back? Your man, Bojack.
I was about to say that. Him too.
Man, Bojack, dude, 2 interceptions already. And if you look up Bears history, when Bojack gets a pick, we win.
12-0.
We win.
12-0. So, man, is a difference maker.
Man, but 2 picks this year. Plus he got the forced fumble. That's 3. He's averaging a turnover. Well, the forced fumble wasn't a turnover, but you do it to create turnovers. But I mean, that's it. That's every game he's got an impact play. You know, and I think that's going to continue. I mean, if he could easily hit 10 picks this year. He's got 2 in the first 3 games.
Easy. They're gonna start being real careful throwing it around.
Right, but he's everywhere. He's
everywhere.
We play some. Jalen Johnson is that you can't avoid them both.
You can't avoid them both.
But one of them, because Eddie's on this side, Jalen Johnson's over there. Like, which side you avoid?
Right. Yeah, we play some single high. So Brisker's in the box. We're playing single high. How you going to avoid Jackson? Like, don't throw it.
Right.
Don't throw it deep. That's for sure.
Don't throw it, because even in single high, we're one of the few teams where you're looking at single high and you're going, I don't want to throw this ball.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we got Daniel Jones coming up, and that boy can struggle with some accuracy. In New York, I think my buddy from New York, he always call him Danny Dimes. Oh, okay. Let's see, man. Danny Dimes gonna be throwing some quarters, man. This ain't gonna be.
So what are your predictions for the week 4 against the Giants?
All right. Every week I've been 14 points high, so I'm gonna stay with being 14 points high. I'm gonna say we win by 21.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I get it.
Double it down.
Double down, man.
I like it.
I like it. I got the Bears by 10, man. I think we come out and do our thing, man. I think we come out and do our thing.
I want to see. I really want to see Quinn start building his sack totals. I mean, he's been playing some good football. He's only, I think, got 1 sack on the year, but he needs to get a couple this game. And this is the game to go get him.
You know, sacks come in bunches. He's got a rookie tackle in Evan Neal, who that kid is. He is a dog. That kid can play some football. So him and Travis and Al-Qadim, Muhammad, they have a tough assignment getting past that. So we'll see how it looks. We'll see how he turns out. But he definitely can beat a rookie, man.
Yeah.
Which side of the line he lines up on?
Yep. I want to see. You know, I respect the fact that also everybody was down on the fact that we only got like 1 sack. Against the Texans, but we stopped the run less than 100 yards on the ground. Right. And let's be honest, sometimes that's the from the way you're attacking that offensive line, sometimes that's the balance. Sometimes you have to say, well, hey, I'm going to focus more on stopping the run than I am on pursuing the quarterback. And I believe, because we were sacking quarterbacks like crazy and giving up tons of yards.
Well, that's what you were saying last week about the what was it? Quick, fast penetration.
right.
So they got less of that, and it shrunk those holes for the run game.
Yeah. And so that
they've been watching. We're Talking Bears.
yeah, they are. They're watching us. They got that YouTube link up.
Of course. Everybody,
the defense, man. I mean, Morrow, he's been playing some ball. Boy, that hit in the backfield by Morrow.
Yep. That was nasty. Yeah.
No more screens breaking for 20 yards against us.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the way he hit that boy, he folded, oh boy. That was rough. And I mean, we're playing ball. Even Gordon got in there again. Gordon's showing some flashes. He's still, hopefully this is the game, because I don't think the Giants have that great receiving core. No. So this should be the game where Gordon can have his first good game, as far as coverage, and not get burned. Let's see if he can make it through this week without getting burned.
Speaking of the Giants receiving core, have y'all been hearing the trade rumors that maybe Kenny Golladay might be on his way to Chicago as a trade package? I know.
Hey, that's our boy. That's our boy.
I know that's your boy.
That's our boy, man. You know what? I would love it, man. I would love it. I've been hearing that. I didn't hear any trade rumors specifically, but I know he had that drop last week, and they've been down on him, and he was telling them they needed to use him more. So I mean, I'd like to have him here, but again, it goes back to the conversation we were having. No matter what, we still need to work on that line, because it's not going to make a difference if he comes here and we can't protect Fields long enough to get these guys the ball. You get what I'm saying? We need to be able to get them the ball.
Truth. But that comes with time. I mean, if you get Golladay and St. Rita kid, Brad, your brother was at St. Rita back in those days. St. Rita kid. So if you get Golladay and he and you get him for a while, you need to get him 3 or 4 years, right? If you get him for a couple of years, that's irrelevant, honestly. But if you get him for 3 or 4 years, that's huge. That gives these young linemen a chance to grow. That gives us a chance to get our we just stole that #1 pick from the Raiders that they threw away. Get him worked up and into this system and get him out there. I think the line is just going to get better and better. And we'll know if we need to spend one of our #1s next year. It's either going to be a receiver or an offensive lineman, depending on what's our biggest need. And, if we get Golladay, great. But who would we give away for him? You know what I mean? That's like, yeah. Maybe somebody in the receivers room, but who wants our receivers right now?
I think either we give away a late round pick because he's clearly very much in the doghouse in New York. He
Right.
hasn't been performing. He's got a huge albatross of a contract.
Yeah.
He's not going to command much in terms of draft capital. So we've already given away like our 7th, I want to say, for 24. So either a 7th next year, maybe a 6th round for 24, or even like Michael Schofield, who we re-signed while Alex Leatherwood is on that non-football injury for his mono illness. He's going to come back, and then we're either going to send Schofield back to the practice squad or whatever. But I mean, he was a starting lineman for the Los Angeles Chargers last year, so the kid can play. So maybe he has some value there, maybe enough to match.
Bring him home, man. Bring him home. Bring him home.
Hey,
like to
it's
see
not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. That is an improvement to our receivers room.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for cheap too. Like, he's not gonna. I think his contract is going to be expensive. He's to answer your question, he signed for through 2024, and he's 13 million next year and 14 million the year after that. So we definitely would be overpaying to have him here. I think the Giants are on the hook for most of his contract this year.
Right.
But next year and then the year after, it would be probably he would need to renegotiate. But
I mean, yeah, we could renegotiate, or 2, if he performs to that number 1 receiver level. That's not much. I mean, we would have paid A-Rob way more, right?
Yeah.
If he literally performs, even if we have co-number 1s, like they both, he and Mooney are both number 1 level. Right now, Mooney's not living up to that number 1 thing. But if Galladay's here and all of a sudden, and Mooney just keeps growing his game, and that is not actually a lot for a number 1 receiver. So he's got to be able to run block though to play with us.
Right. Facts.
That's the big question is how does he fit in this offense? Because we've already got a receiver, a very similar like physical profile to him in EQ. I think Galladay's got him beat when it comes to jump balls and whatnot, and maybe even ball security, because EQ, man, we saw him fumble a lot like in the preseason and whatnot, and even on some of his catches, he fumbled out of bounds that one time. So it's they're very similar in terms of their physical stature, their speed, all that. So if he can play that role, is he an upgrade from EQ? That's the real question.
I mean, right now he's an upgrade from EQ, but EQ is a difference maker right now. He caught the touchdown in the 49ers game, that 49-yard run he just did. Both of those plays are enormous. That flips the field. You get 50, you get a half of the field.
But you also saw him at the end of the Green Bay game. He kind of gave up on that route. He was fading back from the catch when Fields threw that interception. When I was watching the film, he had Jair Alexander was coming from like dang near center field. He had him by almost 10 yards. All he had to do was step up to the ball, use his big frame and shield the ball, but he kind of faded away from it. And then that gave Alexander the lane to jump in front of him and get the pick. So little stuff like that, that's like mental.
Yeah. I mean, Galladay is a true number 1 in this league. He's proven himself. And he's been on teams that weren't very good and proven himself. So I think he's an upgrade. The only person that I would say that he has to challenge Mooney for that job, but instantly he challenges Mooney for that starting job of number 1 receiver. If you bring him in, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? If Mooney wins the job, fantastic. If Mooney becomes a great number 2, and he's actually our number 1, that's good too. And if Velez takes them all down, I'm cool with that. You're right.
Right.
However it works, but yeah, I really enjoyed the game. Hey, heck of a fight. Think about it like this again. The defense, if they hadn't fought the way they did in that second half, we lose to the Texans. We lose. The defense fought. The Texans didn't give up. We beat them.
Right.
You know, we beat them. We beat them.
I got one more question, and that is, what the heck are we doing with Tevin Jenkins? Because last week I think Lucas Patrick got the start, but Jenkins has been a absolute monster in the run game. He's been solid in pass pro. Like, how are we still, and what's going on with Mustafa as center, man? Like, when are we going to see Lucas Patrick take over that center job and we stop seeing these botched snaps and quick sacks up the middle, man? Because as much as I like Mustafa, as much as he gets the calls correct, man, sometimes he just gets overpowered. He just gets manhandled up there.
Well, I think what's happening, I mean, I truly think is Lucas Patrick's injury that's causing him not to be snapping the ball. I think, you know, if his hands were fine, he would be snapping the ball. I like Musty. I do. You know, for an undrafted guy with not a great skill set, he plays some good ball, and we're getting, you know, he was part of those guys blocking for that 280 yards, right? They weren't just blowing through the middle and getting, you know, we if they were blowing through the middle, then we don't get 280 yards. We might not get 80. But so, you know, you got to give him his credit. He has some good blocks in there. And he's tough. But I think the point of Lucas Patrick is to, you know, have him at full game speed, you know, and honestly, he's better than Jenkins. You know, that's just the truth. And so you make sure that he's at full game speed so that when you switch, and that Fields is used to him, so that when you switch and you stick Tevin Jenkins in at that guard, that, you haven't lost anything. You've gained, you got better. And I think that, you know, Lucas Patrick is better than Mustafa. So, you know, when he slides over and Jenkins is there, also, you know, Jenkins, they're using him. He's getting into the game, right? He's getting in. So it's not that he's not learning. You know what I mean? He can sit down and watch film of what happens when Jenkins is there and what happens when he's there. And am I beating this guy? How do I outperform this guy, or at least perform as well as this guy, right? He's doing my exact job against the exact same people I'm lining up against. This is good learning tape. You know, you say, all right, you know, you see how you stepped here? You see where your hands were? You see you didn't get under his pads? You see where he got under his pads, see what happens. You know, you're a strong guy, but you're not getting under his pads, you know, or you know, look at your footing. Look at your footwork when your boy got sacked.
All right.
Versus, all right, you know, same guy, same attack, you know, look at Lucas's footwork when he didn't get sacked, right? And you know, those type of lessons can be had. So I'm okay with it. You know, you gotta win the job. Make it, you get it to the point where it's not a conversation. It's not a conversation. We're not having this conversation. You know, for instance, Demo and Herbert. You know what I mean? As Herbert's phenomenal, but we all know. You know what? If a 260-pound linebacker is coming through the middle, I hope Demo's got the ball and not Herbert, because Demo could carry that dude. He'll turn him. You gotta be trying to understand how this dude just turned me, right?
Yep.
And it's one of those situations. You know, if you're going to take a man's job, you have to take his job.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Real.
All right,
Well, 2-1 going into week 4. We got the Giants. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's
come
do
out
it.
of this week 3-1. Looking up, man, and we'll hope those other guys in our division can take some L's so we can have that spot to ourselves.
I'm not even worried. Whatever happens, let them win. Because you know what? We get to face them all.
Right. That's facts.
In 2 weeks, we face Minnesota. We need to be the first team in the division to beat Minnesota. That's a statement win.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We need to be the first team in the division to beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
And then we need to beat the Packers next time we see. We can't have another second quarter like that.
They're going to be at our house next time.
Yep.
First quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We need to do all that for 4 quarters, and we'll take them down.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't leak. We can't leak. It's got to be a mistake-free game that we play. You know, it don't have to be perfect, but it has to be mistake-free. And that was far from mistake-free. The whole second quarter was a mistake. You just X, you know, everything we did that. I mean, there's no highlights from that second.
What was that movie? A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yes,
Right.
that was the second quarter. That's the name of the second quarter.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, and we gotta beat the Lions twice. We can't. This isn't. You know, if you don't beat the Lions twice, you're not even in the conversation. What are you doing? What are you doing? So. And the Lions have a really good offense this year. You know, so it's not going to be easy to beat them. You know, the defense has to play a great game, and we've got to score some points because we're not going to shut them out. If we do, I'm throwing a party, but you know, I don't think so. They've been dropping 30 on folks. Yeah. Even when they lose, they're dropping 30. Yeah. So, you know, I don't think we have to get 30 to beat them, but I'm pretty sure we need 24.
I don't think they're dropping 30 on us.
They're not going to drop 30 on us. Like I said, we don't need 24 though to beat them because they might get to 20.
We could do that. Yeah. I ain't worried about that.
They better get it in the first half because we don't give up touchdowns in the second half.
Say that.
Let's keep that going, man. I want to see that this week against Saquon Barkley.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm Uncle.
And I'm Nephew.
I'm Son.
And we're talking Bears.